Welcome to the History of Simple Things, where we delve into the fascinating history behind the little things that shape our world. When you think of Nike today, you likely imagine world-class athletes, iconic sneakers, and that unmistakable swoosh logo. But Nike wasn't always the global powerhouse we know it as today. Its roots stretch back to humble beginnings in the 1960s, when two men saw an opportunity to improve the performance of runners through innovative footwear. It's a story of grit, vision, and ultimately, success that's as fascinating as the products themselves. In 1964, a former University of Oregon track athlete, Phil Knight, partnered with his coach, Bill Bowerman, to form a small company called Blue Ribbon Sports, BRS. The idea behind the company was simple but bold. Import high-quality, low-cost running shoes from Japan to the US market, where American-made shoes were dominating but falling short on performance. At the time, Knight had visited Japan during his travels after business school and saw the potential in a company called Onitsuka, which made the now famous Tiger running shoes. He convinced Onitsuka to allow him to distribute their shoes in the US, and Blue Ribbon Sports was born. With just $500 in capital and a handshake deal with Onitsuka, Knight and Bowerman began their journey. What's interesting is how hands-on they were in the early days. Phil Knight sold the shoes out of the trunk of his car at track meets. Meanwhile, Bowerman, always the innovator, was constantly tinkering with shoe designs, hoping to make them lighter and more comfortable for his athletes. This unique blend of business and athletic expertise set the stage for something bigger. By 1971, the relationship between Blue Ribbon Sports and Onitsuka was beginning to falter, and Knight and Bowerman saw the writing on the wall. They knew they needed to create their own brand if they wanted to truly compete in the footwear industry. Thus, Nike was born. The name Nike was inspired by the Greek goddess of victory, a fitting choice for a company built on the idea of helping athletes win. But a great name wasn't enough. They needed an iconic look. Enter Carolyn Davidson, a graphic design student at Portland State University. She was asked by Knight to come up with a logo for the fledgling company. What she created was the now legendary Swoosh, a simple, fluid mark meant to convey motion and speed. Knight wasn't particularly wowed by it at first, but he needed something, so he went with it. Davidson was paid just $35 for her work, though she'd later receive stock options worth much more. Like any new company, Nike faced its fair share of challenges. Early on, the brand struggled to establish itself in a competitive market dominated by major players like Adidas and Puma. However, what set Nike apart was its relentless focus on innovation. Bowerman, true to form, continued experimenting with shoe designs to create something that would set them apart from the competition. One of his most famous inventions came in 1972, when he used a waffle iron to create a unique sole for running shoes. The waffle sole provided better traction and cushioning, and it quickly became a hit with runners. In the early 70s, Nike also made a significant move by signing athlete endorsements, something that would become a cornerstone of their brand. They signed Steve Prefontaine, a rising star in the running world, as their first major endorsement. Prefontaine's fiery spirit and competitive drive mirrored Nike's own aspirations, and he helped build the brand's credibility within the track and field community. While the 70s saw Nike establish itself as a legitimate player in the sportswear industry, the 80s were when the brand truly exploded, thanks in large part to one game-changing innovation: air technology. In 1978, a NASA engineer named Frank Rudy approached Nike with an idea that would forever change the athletic shoe market. He had developed a cushioning system using air pockets within the shoe's sole, which would provide better support and comfort for athletes. Nike was intrigued and decided to integrate the technology into their footwear line. The result was the 1979 release of the Nike Tailwind, the first shoe to feature air technology. But it wasn't until 1987, with the launch of the Nike Air Max, that air really became a cultural phenomenon. The Air Max not only featured the revolutionary cushioning system, but it also made the air pockets visible through a small window in the sole, giving the shoe a futuristic, tech-forward look that captivated consumers. The Air Max line became a massive success and cemented Nike's place as a leader in footwear innovation. If Air Max technology changed the way shoes were made, Michael Jordan changed the way shoes were sold. In 1984, Nike signed a rookie basketball player named Michael Jordan to an endorsement deal. At the time, this was seen as a risky move. Jordan hadn't yet proven himself in the NBA, and Nike wasn't a major player in the basketball market. But Nike saw something special in Jordan. They created a signature line of shoes for him, the Air Jordans, and released the first pair in 1985. The shoes were an instant hit, helped in part by a bit of controversy. The NBA banned the original Air Jordans because they didn't comply with the league's uniform regulations. Rather than back down, Nike embraced the rebellion, launching an ad campaign that highlighted the ban and positioned the shoes as something bold and different. This rebellious spirit resonated with young consumers, and the Air Jordan line became a cultural phenomenon. Over the years, Jordan's continued success on the court, combined with Nike's marketing genius, turned the Air Jordan brand into one of the most successful lines of sneakers in history. Even today, the Air Jordan name remains iconic, with new designs and retro releases consistently selling out. As Nike entered the 90s and 2000s, the brand only grew stronger. They expanded their product lines beyond just running and basketball to include almost every sport imaginable, from soccer to golf. Nike also continued to push the boundaries of innovation with advancements in materials and design, always aiming to create products that could enhance athletic performance. The swoosh became a global symbol, not just of sportswear, but of the idea that anyone, regardless of background, could just do it. The slogan, introduced in 1988, became synonymous with perseverance, ambition, and achievement. It wasn't just about selling shoes anymore, it was about inspiring people to push their limits. From selling shoes out of a car trunk to becoming a multi-billion-dollar global powerhouse, Nike's history is a testament to the power of innovation, branding, and belief in one's vision. What started as a small business with a few running shoes has grown into a brand that transcends sport and culture. Today, Nike continues to lead the way in athletic performance and fashion, and if the past is any indication, their future will be just as dynamic. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.